Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Uncut and After Show. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they premiere, and there's also a PayPal, Patreon and crypto link in the info box below the video. Also, below this video, you can get £50 for swapping your UK electricity supplier to Octopus Energy. Speaking of Patreon, I'm going to do a quick shout out to all of you who do support me on Patreon. So, a massive shout out of thanks and appreciation to Michael Kahn, Patrick Gunnels, Banter, Will Brax, Mel B. Styles, Troy Shuker, Bo Snail, Joseph Pizarro, Samson, Maris, Mobile Max 777, Neo the One, Lost Cat FE, Rob W, Open Minded, Reese Pound, Del West Watson, Mike, Muted, Dick Earth Skeptic, Maria Neelands, Unbelievable Productions, Blue Ridge Ranger, Rob H, The Real Gabster, Windrider, Liam Nedrick Jr., Abraham Mohammed, Naibai, Adrian Quintana, Skeptic936, Life is Short, Fireball X, TheFlatEarthChannel.com, Texas Mike, Edwin Johnson, and David Wayne Foster. So another massive thank you to all of you for supporting me on Patreon. Now I'll hand over to whoever is in Discord and Google so you can enjoy their conversation while I set up for today's live show. Always assume I'm recording.
Maybe he's against the plain sound, Neil.
You hear my voice on this show, just assume I'm recording. Even if I say I'm not recording, assume I am.
I knew you weren't recording because you used a few choice words.
Oh, yeah.
Isn't that doublespeak? Aren't you against that, Nathan?
What's that, what?
I said, isn't that doublespeak? Aren't you against that?
No, I have not double spoken in any way.
Oh, okay.
Not since the last time.
I'm recording, but I'm not recording.
It's been at least 8 weeks.
You know, by the way, that was bad, Nathan. I was wrong.
You were wrong.
I don't watch Ball Busters.
Oh, gosh, let it go.
I mean, I keep saying Ball Busters, Globe Busters. I don't watch it.
Sorry,
right.
why are you telling me this? It's like you're having a random
Zero.
conversation with your friend, and he changes the subject and goes, "Look, just by the way, I don't smoke meth, right? I'm not a meth head. Right? Why'd you bring it up? I didn't bring it up
Because I heard it last night. I listened to the re-up, and I left you a message too.
Oh yeah, tell me. I didn't see it, so tell me.
Nathan, I hate you.
What? Well, that's very useful. Glad you gave me so much detail to back that comment.
I'm going to drop and join again because I don't know what's going on right now.
Well, that was the comment I left him. I re-listened to the show, and he was twisting me.
Why would you re-listen to the show?
Hold
Well, I
on.
always
Hold on. Don't ask him questions like that. It's fine when it's other people's shows, 10th. Shh.
Hang on, let me ruffle my paper so you guys can get mad at me.
No.
I hear you every time you don't go on mute. Every time.
Yeah, all of you, Neil, says you, who I had to spend about 45 minutes editing out your interruptions from the most recent video upload.
Well, that's when I'm coming in to say something. When I'm done, I go on mute.
Yeah, but when in the middle of someone else saying something, that just eventually becomes junk. So just bear in mind, right? Next time someone's talking and you decide that you must get a word in, if I turn that into a separate video, it will be removed. If there's two people talking at once, it's just going to get edited out.
I'll be more mindful.
Same goes for audio chaos. If one of you's got your mic wide open because you're desperate to get a word in, and that essentially fucks up every single word of everything everyone else says, that also gets edited out just because you're sat there with your mic wide open waiting to interrupt.
Yeah, but there's some guys. I'll give you for instance. I'm not saying it's deliberate. I don't know if there's a delay, but when Harp comes in, it doesn't matter who's saying anything. He's gonna talk. When the other guy comes in, who's the other guy that comes in? I can't think of his name right now. But he just, no matter who's talking, he's still going.
Yeah, everybody does it.
Rams. Yeah, but there's a couple of guys that it's like, wow, do they not hear 10th Man speaking? Do they not hear Chocolate saying something? So I don't know if it's a delay or a lag. I don't know what it is.
I've told you this fourth time, right? Your brain can process concepts very, very quickly. So normally, within a couple of breaths of the person starting off their statement, you have already figured out what conceptual path they've taken. And therefore, engage mouth is what your brain says. Now, you've got to work against that. Literally, you've got to work against you and your brain saying, I already know where this is going, open mouth. Or instinctual, you'll do it whether you like it or not. So you've got to work against doing it. It takes effort to not do it.
Newer
Now
generations do that a lot.
disengage.
We all do it. I do it. I'm the worst because I'm on the mic the most and trying to take charge of the show. So it seems worse when I do it. But we all do it. And you have to work
Sure.
to not do it.
No, I'll just argue that newer generations, because I wouldn't really argue that IQ is going up, but at least from the perspective of disability, it seems like everybody's getting better and better at doing this. Like my grandparents would just feel like explaining very basic things 3 times, and teenagers would feel like we don't even have to use the words anymore because everybody gets it from the beginning.
Indeed.
My
You don't know-
brother-in-law just subscribed to you, Nathan.
Things being reiterated over and over again when someone is under the either apprehension or misapprehension that they do understand, yeah, they may. But for that to be cemented needs it to be repeated. So I give an analogy where making something that's first heard or putting together a piece of information, that's another example of that mic that's interrupting this, whoever that was in G+. I'll start again. So, you've got an analogy where you first figure out how something works or first have something explained to you. It's like in processing terms, by analogy, you've got a ravine. The ravine represents the lack of knowledge, the non-understanding. And the other side of the ravine, the other mountain, if you will, represents understanding it, right? And the first time you do it, it's like getting a grappling hook and trying 2 or 3 times to throw it across the ravine and catch something on the other side so you can climb across. In other words, that might take a few swings. Now, once you're on the other side, you've then got to go back again. So you then do the exact same process in reverse, by metaphor, the same process, in other words. You're trying to establish that connection from one side to the other, yeah? You throw your grappling hook across, miss a couple of times, and then you get it, so then you've got 2 ropes between the ravine. Now, the more time you spend doing that process, the stronger the connection between the 2 places becomes. Or, if you want to put it into brain terms, the stronger that neural connection works. The pathway gets stronger. So therefore you can process it quicker or walk across the bridge easier because you've got more ropes going across the bridge. Instead of just being a tightrope that you've got to walk across, you've got 200 ropes that are all strung together. It's a very sturdy bridge and you can run across it. Mentally, you can do it quickly. Yeah? Well, that takes repetition, doing it over and over again. And in your example, when your grandparents say something over and over again and the kid goes, yeah, there already, before you've even finished the sentence, because you've been told once and you think you understand, like you might think you understand, but you might also find that you haven't checked your rope very thoroughly and it's got a snag in it. And when you're halfway across the ravine thinking you know what you're doing, it breaks and you fall into the pit of ignorance because you haven't taken the time to make sure you know and make sure every I is dotted and every T is crossed. Thank you for your attention.
So Nathan,
Yes.
Nathan, you've heard of the term damned if I do, damned if I don't, right?
Yeah.
Well, I went to hit mute because I knew you were going to talk for a while. And you said, who's making that noise? I don't have it. I mean, it's like, wait a minute, I'm doing what he's saying. And he heard me push mute.
Don't rustle your coat when you're pressing the mute button.
I did. I'm just sitting there. I just pushed the button and he picked up on it. And I was like, doggone it, he's chewing me out for going on mute.
I'm just in a bad mood. I'm tired. I haven't had much sleep. I've been very ill for the last couple of
let
weeks.
me comment on what you just said, if I may.
Okay, go
That's called myelin. That's called myelin wrap, WRAP. Anders Ericsson, who wrote a lot of books on memory and neural connections. They discovered this, and when you do something over and over, they called it myelin, and it just wraps like the coating on the electrical wire. And the more you do it, the more of this wrap you get. And so it becomes automatic. And this is what's key for athletes in their training as well. So if you want to look it up, what you were saying, Anders Ericsson and myelin.
Or if you want a really sad story about the exact same process in reverse, i.e. the decay of myelin, that would be the story of Lorenzo's oil and the process of those long-chain fatty acids not being created naturally in the human body, and therefore that coating, as you call it, the myelin coating that goes across those pathways, as I described them, doesn't produce at all. In fact, it decays away, and you degenerate into what's the most PC term that's used now? I don't know what the PC term is for mental incapacitation, and then death. There you go. Go and watch Lorenzo's Oil. It's an absolutely joyful story. It also gave me insight to the word arrogance, that particular movie, because he's arguing with the doctors and he's doing all the research to try and figure out how to overcome this problem his son's got, this son being Lorenzo, that's mentally decaying over time. And the doctors say, you know, who are you, you know, to challenge us? We're doctors. We know what's best. And he says the doctor tells him that's extremely arrogant for you to do that. And the guy explains that the etymology of the word arrogant is, I'm going to butcher this, but I think it's arrogante or something like that. He's like, what it means is to take ownership for oneself. That's what the word means. And he says, that's precisely what I'm doing. Yes, it is arrogant. I am going to take ownership of this situation for myself. And I'm going to do it. It doesn't matter if you're a doctor and you know better. I'm doing it and you aren't. So, yeah, I'm taking ownership of this. So it's a sort of positive spin on the word arrogance. Anyway.
Yeah, that was an 80s movie, right?
Nick Nolte.
Yeah. Correct, Nick Nolte, and who was the other one that was in it? The girl from Thelma and Louise, I've forgotten her name. Who's the girl?
His main break came in that TV series, Rich Man, Poor Man.
Anyway, yes, that's correct. It's an 80s or early 90s movie with Nick Nolte.
I was a big Nick Nolte fan. 48 Hours.
I always liked Nick Nolte. I mean, Nick Nolte films were generally pretty good. Anyway, flashback to the 90s over.
Sounds like Ballers when you explained how the doctors were acting towards him. This is what we go through at Ballers.
Yeah, that's why I brought it up, Nick. That's why I brought it up, Neil.
I know, Nathan.
You have to explain the setup. You ruined the whole thing.
Subtle segue is the best segue, Neil. Thank you for shattering.
Well, I was trying to tell you that my brother-in-law subscribed just now to both of your channels, so you got two more.
What's his name?
Chris.
Hey, Chris. Good to have you. Thank you for subscribing.
Oh, he's going to hear that soon.
Earth is flat.
Yeah, he's pretty much on board. He was just saying to me, is it that it's flat and there's a dome over it like a snow globe? I said, exactly. That's what the Bible says, the firmament.
Well, it doesn't say it's a dome. It just says a firmament.
Dome.
Could be.
We have gas pressure, so that means we're contained, correct?
That's right. Correct.
That's the statement.
We are contained.
That's the statement right there. Yes. Not the Bible says there's a dome, or the Bible says there's a firmament. We have gas pressure, therefore we must have containment. It's a necessary antecedent.
Right, and it also says in the Bible that it's the circle of the earth. So circle the earth, and now put containment on it, and what do you have? A dome.
No, you have a gas pressure.
Didn't need to circle anything or put anything on it. It was implied by way of necessary antecedent-consequent relationship that is breathing gas pressure.
But we have gravity.
Gravity's not a force.
Yeah,
Right, but
and they say you could think of it as a force, but Rumpus goes on to say that it is a force.
Well,
of course.
regardless. Force or
Hey,
non-force.
Chocolate.
Morning, peeps.
Hey, Chocolate.
doing?
Einsteinian or superseded Newtonian. You can have them both in spades. They're never going to overcome entropy. Gas expands in all directions to fill the availability of volume.
Unless, of course, it's rebellious gas.
If it's rebellious gas, then they'll burn their bras at the Kármán line in, what's the word, protest of natural law.
Yep.
Well, of course, you don't know if entropy applies to the atmosphere because it's a bigger thing. Duh.
Atmosphere is an oxymoron. Air sphere, atmo, air, sphere, fundamentalist religious presupposition that gas takes the shape of a sphere when it has no inherent shape. Say again, something old? That was terrible. Couldn't make a word of it out.
I'm the type I don't stress anything. Follow that.
Seems like he's hot miking.
Yeah, stick him on mute. Thanks.
No point to get
Thank you, Ted.
That was worse.
Right,
That was worse.
it's just talking in the background with his mic wide open.
Yeah, so when they say atmosphere, they're already begging the question of a sphere. We can just say atmoplane, and then they'll say, well, you're begging the question of the plane. And we'll say, well, then let's get right to it. How can you have gas pressure without containment? And what do we observe in this world of ours? Do we not observe that we are not spinning? We're motionless, and Earth is observably and obviously flat. Water attests to that. It's called sea level.
Yes, and that's why I like to just say air. I don't say atmo. I don't say all of this nonsense. Air. Air is all around us.
Yeah, right on. We're talking about air. Well, air isn't sphere-shaped air, atmosphere, oxymoron. It's just air. And when you're talking about air, gas, it's got laws that govern how it behaves. And they're very well documented. It's easy to find out how gas behaves. And you won't find entropy, expansion of gas into a volume, described with any forces other than it bouncing off walls of containment or other gases within the containment. That's what it describes. Nothing to do with any non-force force that you can think of as a force. That's not part of entropy. So no. Anyway, let's start the show. Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live, and there's also a PayPal, Patreon and crypto link in the info box below the video. Also below this video, you can get £50 for swapping your UK electricity supplier to Octopus Energy. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel, so please share the show on Facebook and Twitter. One last time, if you're new to the channel or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. Now we are joined by 10th Man, Neil, Chocolate Saying, Arwin, who's now blocking my screen so I can't see anything. Who have I covered everyone? Neil, Chocolate, Arwin, 10th Man, and a whole bunch of people in Discord. So welcome, one and all.
Greetings
Hello.
all.
Good afternoon.
Hey, good morning.
Good morning, you enthusiastic lot. Very good to have you all. Any evidence of axial rotation of the Earth-based variety?
Nonsense.
No.
Might need an axis and something to rotate.
Well, the axials or the celestial sphere is rotating.
Sorry, what was that, Chocolate?
I said you might need an axis and something to actually rotate on that axis. That something would usually be ball-shaped.
How's it measured? Rotation about an axis. How's that measured? Would it be radians?
Yeah. Need that.
You need what?
Where do you get the radians from?
From a radius value. Any evidence of the R value? Earth radius.
None whatsoever.
Well, what's the radius of the celestial sphere?
Earth radius. Arwin.
Well, whoever believes there's axial rotation spoke too soon.
Spoke too soon.
No radius value for axial rotation and radians that are asserted. We've debunked it with the black swan. So no R value means no radius, means no radians, means no axial rotation.
Oh, I get it. Spoke in a wheel. Good one.
Neil's just got out of that DeLorean and got the joke.
Update, man.
Yeah, 3 minutes ago called Neil. They want your laughter.
Well, listen, if something's moving, we would know it. And they're saying we're moving 1,000+ miles at the equator line of theirs sphere, that's presupposed, and slowing down all the way to either poles. Well, this should be observable somehow, right? Especially if you get off the Earth and watch the Earth move under you. I mean, that would be normal, right? I mean, you can expect that.
What do you mean get off the Earth? Is there any evidence that you can have gas pressure without the necessary antecedent of a container for the assertion that the sky is an availability of space, called space, a sky vacuum? How can you have gas pressure without a container to enter an area they call space to look back at Earth, 10th?
No, I don't mean get off the Earth there. Just get off the Earth like in a helicopter. Get off the Earth. It should be spinning.
Well, you should have axial rotation at 15 degrees an hour based on the idea that we have Coriolis effect as asserted on a globe, which would be to say that we're on a non-inertial spinning reference frame turning beneath an inertial reference frame to observe things seem to drift away at 15 degrees an hour. In your example, a helicopter would take off and the ground would turn beneath it at 15 degrees an hour. So from your vantage point on the ground, the helicopter would whiz away from you at the rate that you're turning away from it. That's called Coriolis effect. We'd notice that does not happen. Nothing's drifting away at 1,000 miles an hour on the equator. We'd notice.
Yeah, but they talk both sides out of their mouth. You got Neil deGrasse Tyson saying the Earth moved, and that's why the field goal went in. And you got them saying snipers have to adjust for the bullet once it leaves the barrel because the Earth is turning underneath. Then you say, great. Then if I get up in the helicopter, the Earth, no, it doesn't turn when you get up in the helicopter. Just bullets and footballs.
Yeah, the assertion is Coriolis effect, and that's the assertion that we're on a non-inertial spinning reference frame turning beneath something that isn't turning, like you on a roundabout looking at a tree. That's the assertion that you're the roundabout on Earth turning beneath the tree, seeing it seem to move when it's you turning underneath the tree. Well, that would be an effect that they assert when they say the ball drifted through the goal because the Earth turned beneath it. So as you watch the ball, it looked like it curved through the goal, but it was really just Earth turning beneath it. Or snipers have to track their target because it's claimed Earth will turn beneath the bullet after it leaves the barrel of the gun. So you've got to account for that because Earth's going to turn underneath the bullet. Or Earth turns underneath the gyroscope at 15 degrees an hour and you observe it drifting in its cage because Earth's turning beneath the fixed frame of a spinning gyro. Or Earth's turning beneath a swinging pendulum and is drifting to knock over some dominoes around it in a circle because it's claimed Earth's turning underneath the back and forth motion of the pendulum. Those are all claims of Coriolis effect that assert Earth's turning beneath things. Well, then it would turn beneath helicopters, aeroplanes, hot air balloons. You, if you jumped up and down, you'd notice. But they assert it with things that stay in the air for a couple of seconds. So the paradox comes when you say, okay, you're asserting that Earth turns underneath the football when it's kicked from the field and goes through the goal. It appears to curve because the ground turned beneath it. What about the blimp that's filming the game? The Earth's not turning beneath that now, is it? And it's in the air for a substantial period of time. So you're not observing the drift in the blimp, but you are observing the drift in the ball. You can't have it both ways. And their answer is to detail what the blimp does. It's like, Coriolis, your effect of things drifting because you're turning beneath them is observed as you turn beneath them. It's got nothing to do with what the blimp does, and everything to do with you turning beneath, observing stuff as you turn. So don't now tell me what the drift of the actual occurrence in the blimp is, because there isn't one. The blimp's stationary. Let's, in this example, assume it's stationary to film the game, and it wants to stay as stationary as possible to get a steady view of the game. So it's definitely not moving. But yet it's claimed that Earth turned beneath the ball, so it's going to turn beneath the blimp. It's not attached to the ground, it's not tracking along with it, it doesn't matter if it's got engines. It's you observing it seem to drift from the ground. That's Coriolis. Nothing to do with the blimp. Other than the fact that it's not drifting. Earth's not turning beneath it. It's not drifting away from the stadium at 15 degrees an hour for you to observe it seem to drift like you're claiming the ball does. So we don't have drift. We would notice. Flight times when travelling west would be shortened. So, for example, a flight from Charlotte to North Carolina, from Charlotte, North Carolina to LA would take about an hour and a half because Earth would be turning beneath it. For you on the ground to see it seem to drift, that's Coriolis effect. Well, for that effect to actually happen, you've got to have Earth turning underneath aeroplanes for there to be drift, to observe from the ground. There isn't. The flight takes about 4.5 hours because Earth's not turning beneath it. If anything, the flight gets shorter when travelling east. So definitely not got the Earth turning beneath it, as is claimed with the football, the bullet, the pendulum, the gyro. I'm done.
You done?
Yeah, I'm done.
Okay. If you look at the definition of Coriolis, it's all convoluted. Like when I was a kid, they told me Coriolis was looking at water going down the drain in the north is different than in the south, and that's Coriolis.
Wrong.
I mean, there's so many things that convolute it. Yeah, I know.
Coriolis is you on a roundabout and you're spinning. Now, everything that's not on the roundabout with you looks like it's moving. It isn't. It just looks like it. And the rate that it looks like it's moving when it isn't is called Coriolis deflection. That's a not actual deflection. The tree you're looking at while you're spinning on a roundabout isn't actually moving. You're moving beneath it to see it seem to move. That's Coriolis effect. So it's claimed we're turning beneath stuff that's not attached like footballs. And because we're attached to something that is moving, like the roundabout, the stuff that's not attached seems to drift. Not actually drifting, it just looks like it is because we're turning beneath it. So we don't need to worry about what the football's actually doing because we're detailing a not actual drift observed as you turn beneath. So when you look at the blimp and go, so we're going to see a not actual deflection because we're turning beneath, and they start detailing how the blimp's powered, like that's got nothing to do with Coriolis. It's only observed as you turn beneath. When you start detailing what the tree does, when you observe it seem to drift from a roundabout, it's nonsense. The tree's not doing anything. It's what it seems to do as you turn beneath it. It's what the blimp seems to do when you turn beneath it. Oh, it's not doing anything? Then we're not turning beneath it.
I'd like to share a couple of things with trees and wind. I work with golfers, and we were just at a tournament, and it was really windy. And the golfer I was working with looked at the treetops and was moving left to right. He looked at the flag, left to right. And he says, I got to adjust for this wind. And I said, what are you going to do? He says, I think it's 10 yards left of the flag. I'll hit the ball and the wind will move it 10 yards towards the flag. So here's golfers who have to adjust to actual wind direction. Now, I've worked with the same golfer when there was no wind. He's going at the pin all the time because there's nothing going to affect the ball flight.
Lucky Neil deGrasse Tyson didn't show up in an emergency case. and let them know, no, excuse me. What you're actually doing is wrong. Oh my God, this is so silly.
It's basic.
Any evidence of the distance to the sun?
No evidence for distance to the great light in the sky.
It's 3 AUs away.
There is even evidence that there is a distance at all.
Can I ask my original question?
Sure.
What's the radius of the celestial sphere?
Who cares?
What's the celestial sphere?
We don't
Okay.
deal with stuff in
No, it
space.
doesn't matter. It's not. It's a technical.
What do you mean it doesn't matter?
It's imaginary. They say it's
You
imaginary.
just ask what's the radius of a celestial sphere. Where's the celestial sphere?
You don't get
No,
a
they say it's
radius.
imaginary.
You don't get a radius to not actual positions of non-physical items. It's based on what you view of it.
That's
Oh, okay,
right.
'cause
So
I've
it doesn't
never
have a
viewed a sphere.
radius. That's
No.
right. The celestial sphere is a sphere that doesn't have a radius. How
Well, if it
confusing
did,
is that?
if it did, it'd be calculated on the optics being used there and then in that position. Your personal viewing dome, as Jaren puts it.
Right. But it doesn't have an actual radius then.
Well,
I
it
just
doesn't.
thought that was funny.
Well, the optical
Sounds
field
like
of
it's
view
not
could
an
have a.
actual sphere
Hold on,
then.
hold on. The optical field of view could have a hemispherical radius. Yes, it could, but it's still just an optical field of view that you'd be calculating.
Yeah, but that's not the celestial sphere though. That's just your limit of sight,
Correct.
right? The
That- yeah,
lights
yeah.
don't have actual positions.
That's what I'm saying. Precisely. I'm agreeing with you.
Right. I wasn't trying to be Baldwin. I just thought of it and thought, hey, this is interesting to consider.
Well, let me give you the official narrative on it, and then let's see what you say. The official narrative on the celestial sphere is that the stars go away for infinity. They just keep going. But for the use of mapping in stars, they have this imaginary sphere in the same shape of their imaginary Earth sphere, and all the stars are attached to it. So they say it's imaginary. They say it goes forever. So go on, Arvin. Now have at it.
Well, those are claims from a heliocentric perspective. I don't really go by those.
I know, but that's their official narrative on it. So they have to match it to their imaginary Earth sphere. So they got a celestial North Pole, just like the North Pole. They got a celestial South Pole, just like the South Pole. They got the equinoctial, the celestial equator, just like the equator. It's just another globe over a globe, except they got the stars attached to it. And they say in the first sentence, it's imaginary.
Right. So by heliocentric standards, they could answer the sphere of the celestial sphere, of the radius of the celestial sphere is the size of the galaxy, of the endless space.
Yeah, they could. Yeah. Moving on. Any more on this? Distance to the sun? 3 AUs, final answer. Arwinian units. No.
Can we calculate it?
Go ahead.
Can we calculate the distance between the sun and the earth?
You can if
What?
you make a few assumptions, yes.
You can calculate Arwinian units.
Not
You just
Arwinian.
divide the assumed or imaginary distance to the sun by 3. There you go.
When I opened it up to any more comments on this, that was your opportunity to throw this in. But now I've got a serious question from someone, Arwin. So no, we're not talking about Arwinian units. Just hold fire on that crap for now. Do you want to repeat your question?
So I'm just thinking if we can figure out exactly what's the distance between the surface of the earth, like tangential speaking, and the sun. I guess also like the first point in the sun, whatever the sun is, whatever the shape the sun is.
Okay.
And actually, if we can even find out what the shape the sun is.
If as you added one word, the actual, then no. Apparent, and then you can make a few assumptions to assume that you know the actual distances, and then you can pertain to your audience that you have got the actual distances, and then explain how you've made a few assumptions to get there. But in terms of actually getting it, no, definitely not.
Well, maybe we can bring the question a little closer to where we are. They calculate their radius based on Al-Biruni looking at the horizon. Now, if he looked at the horizon 2 hours later, he'd get a different calculation. So if you can't measure it, then you're forced to calculate something. And they live in the world of calculations, math, not reality.
The reason you've been told that is because one of the assumptions is that you can derive the R value that you'll superimpose onto Venus to apply Kepler's third law of interplanetary motion to derive the scale. You need a geometric horizon to do that, to get the R for Earth, to get the R for Venus, to apply Kepler's third law. Hence, you've been told about not having a geometric horizon to get an R, to assume Venus is the same size, to give you those scales.
So they just guessed the size of Venus. He looked up and said, "Wow, that's the size of Earth."
Not exactly. They assumed the horizon was a physical geometric sphere edge, and then derived an R value from that. And then, ingenious, they assumed that Venus had the same R value as the assumed Earth R value when assuming the horizon is a physical tangent point to measure it.
It gets worse than that. They guessed the size of Earth. They never measured it.
That sounds ridiculous.
Well, they back-engineered it to fit with the
Yeah,
stars.
But before they guessed the size, they guessed the shape. They obviously observed one shape and then guessed it to a completely different shape.
So
Pretty funny if you think about it.
So chocolate, they go, well, it looks flat. It doesn't feel like it's spinning, but let's guess that it's not flat, and let's guess that it's spinning.
Yeah. That works out. We observe it flat, feels flat, measure it flat, but yeah, it's ball. Sure.
Maybe I'm not walking right now, and the Earth is moving towards me.
Other
Maybe
nonsense.
that's because somebody's really drunk.
Could be. Any scientific evidence of gravity?
Gravity, what's that?
What is gravity?
Well, Neil deGrasse Tyson dropped the mic, so yeah.
And then I boiled a kettle and watched the steam go up whilst holding a helium balloon.
Hey, it's my helium balloon.
He dropped the mic because he can't handle the subject.
Too hot.
I mean,
That's
what
a
a
good
show of arrogance or bravado, should I say, much better word. Look, I'm going to spew out some nonsense. I have nothing to back it up. Then I'm going to drop this mic and do a theatrical action to prove that I'm right. Yeah, yet he
And
won't
walk
debate.
away like I'm cool.
Yeah, yet he won't debate anybody.
Yeah, well, that's his out by saying he won't debate a flat earther because he assumes that we're stupid.
I reckon a helium balloon would make a bigger bang when it hit the studio lights than his mic hitting the floor. Any single viable hypothesis from any of the fields of astronomy, cosmology, or astrophysics? And before you answer, I'm going to shout out Truth in Your Face. More power to you, my friend. Love your channel. Subscribe today to Truth in Your Face. Globe states no rotation if you are at the North Pole. Does it? Therefore, a drone hovering at the pole should be seeing everything in the distance rotating around it. Yes, I see what you mean. Yes. Yeah, that's correct. A hovering drone would have the Earth spinning beneath it and it would just have a 360 view. Yeah, quite right. Thank you very much for the super chat, Truth in Your Face. Any viable hypothesis? Go ahead.
Yeah, no, they all they have is observations like we do. We look up, we see the stars and other lights, and that's all we got. And then they go on some story of theirs. They can't go over there. They can't manipulate anything. They can't say we touched it.
Any evidence of a self-perpetuating molten iron core at the centre of a presupposed spherical Earth?
That's the biggest bullshit.
Yeah, the most farcical question on the list, I'll agree.
It's so stupid. I don't even see how anybody can even argue for that being true.
Any evidence of a physical geometric sphere-edge horizon formerly known as the curve of the Earth?
No, the Black Swan has debunked that.
The curve of the Earth has been retired.
I watched a Flatzoid
Officially.
video, and he had I just wasn't in the mood to trim it out, although I was tempted. Just yet another fundy who I don't know, talking about how stuff is working in terms of perspective. Just boggles the mind that these guys, the video, because he's taking a little toy car and moving it away from the camera whilst simultaneously arguing that it's not going to get smaller, or I don't know quite what he was arguing, but he's showing perspective and talking about perspective, and at no point is he talking about Earth curve. It's like, I remember when I did this with a similar demonstration with a car, and then Sly Sparkane responded to it. Obviously, in the defence of Earth curve begging the question, proof of nothing, perspective hijacking Earth curve calculations. But now we've literally got the reverse scenario where the fundies who are yet to catch up with the fact they're detailing something that's not in Earth curve maths are detailing to us the effects of perspective. I mean, it gets better by the day. So, shout out to you, Flatzoid. Keep going, man. Publish this stuff as much as possible. You know, and if you're a flat earther out there, you should be the same. You should have the same reaction as us. Our opponents are detailing our argument back to us. It's a joyous time to be a flat earther. It really, really is.
They got tired of looking stupid.
Wonderful.
Well, and it only took them 4 years, and despite them doing that now, they still denied that they had it wrong in the first place.
At one point in his video, he said, "It's just perspective, nothing more, nothing less." End quote. Whoever this fundy glowbed was. I'm like, so it's not Earth curve then? Just perspective, nothing more, nothing less. Wonderful.
We've been saying that for years.
I need to hear this. It's just
That's
perspective.
what my grandson said. I told you that the other day. To teach him it's just perspective.
Did you welcome him to Flat Earth?
So they're finally catching on to the curve function collapse, do they? It's about time.
No, that's got to come next, Darwin. At some point, I mean, we've seen it in a very raw form where you get them to detail to perspective that they're telling us we've got wrong, and then you ask them, where is it in Earth curve maths? And then they run away. At some point, they've got to start telling us how this effect they're detailing to us about perspective and how things get smaller in the distance and eventually can disappear through a diffraction limit, a limitation to the angle. How that effect actually works with their Earth curve maths that removes all aspects of it with feet and inches that are currently still being argued about. Yeah? You've got people like Ranty hijacking this calculator and its perspective and detailing and asking Flatzoid, specifically, why feet and inches values are missing. Like, yeah, you were there, Ranty, while we detailed how feet and inches values don't represent angular representations that change with distance. But yet you're still there arguing about the begging the question, proof of nothing, perspective hijacking Earth curve calculator and its whole number values that don't change with distance. Whilst arguing about perspective on a sidetrack that has absolutely nothing to do with your Earth curve maths that doesn't include it. So at some point, these fundies have actually got to appreciate that they've got to detail why we have curve function collapse. That would be the curve that we don't see, the perspective that we do, and the maths that's got a geometric horizon that doesn't exist in reality. At some point, they've got to get from one to the other. Now, don't get me wrong, so far we've had one contender, R.C. Meisty, who came in to tell us all about how the Rayleigh criterion worked. I asked him, where is this in Earth curve maths? And his response was, it's in the Rayleigh criterion. So I reiterated, where is it in Earth curve maths? It isn't. So, fundies on the globe side currently detailing how perspective works. Yeah, shit shrinks. That's right. But it doesn't in your Earth curve maths. A 10-foot wall is a 10-foot wall at 100 metres or 100,000 metres. It makes absolutely no difference. It still remains 10 feet. So you can ask us why so many feet and inches are missing from the bottom of it. Well, that's not accounting for the perspective and angular changes that you've got with distance now, is it? A point we made 4 years ago and had a hand wave. It was brushed under the carpet. As opposed to you idiots detailing it in videos for us now. How wonderful.
They
James
don't
Butts.
like the
Gotta
geometric
love the irony.
limitation. They don't like the geometric limitation of their R anymore.
Well, they liked it well enough when Bill Nye was telling them that boats were disappearing behind this thing. Apparently, now this thing, we don't see it, we can't measure it. Boats were disappearing behind. It's weird.
Well, they were
Keep telling us how it's all perspective, Glovers.
they were hijacking perspective, right? Right, Chaka? That was Bill Nye hijacking perspective.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, by saying the boat's going behind XYZ physical geometric sphere-edge horizon that only exists in the maths, and then asking us to qualify why a certain feet and inches value, that's the same if it's right in front of you or 100 miles away, has been obscured from the bottom up when I assume a physical geometric sphere-edge horizon's got in the way. How do you explain this 3 feet missing from the bottom of the boat? You're like, excuse me, why is this maths asking us why 3 feet is missing when the angular relationship changes drastically as it moves further away from you? That'd be an angular relationship. But yet, what, you're going to ask me why 3 feet's missing when it's right next to me, 3 feet's massive, and when it's 100 miles away, I can't see it at all? But you're going to ask me why a certain section of it's missing when you assume that 10 feet is 10 feet, regardless of what distance you're looking at it with, or what aperture of camera you've got to look at it with. All of those things don't get taken into account in earth curve maths. Feet and inches only, that don't change with distance, a la perspective.
Well, bye-bye Earth curve.
I mean, so the Globies who want to jump into this type of arena, in this topic, you might want to do a little bit of research. Maybe go back and listen to 3, 4, 5 years ago when we were debating this stuff and telling you guys how it's perspective. So it makes you sound really silly in 2021 to come out and now state it blatantly in videos that it's perspective. Do you guys think that just taking our argument and using it against us is going to help you guys out? Like, we didn't notice? Are you serious?
Yeah, they are. They're serious. Right up until the moment we ask them where it is in earth curve maths. Then they run away.
Then run away.
Yeah.
See, that's bad, Glover. Bad. Do some research. Might want to do that.
Indeed. It's discussed as a sideline, akin to the earth curve calculators that have got a perspective comparison next to it. You're like, okay, so you're acknowledging that there's a perspective account that's taken in by us, and then here's your account without it, and it's let's compare this false dichotomy between the two. No, when we're comparing pictures, perspective's always definitely there. It's never ever removed. We never see the side of our own head as per your earth curve maths. And we wouldn't ever describe something that's a foot away the same as something that's 100 miles away, because you can't see the thing at 100 miles, it's too small to see. So those things are real in photographs, always, without exception, and yet we should compare them to your maths that doesn't have them? No, we shouldn't.
Here's how bad it is, though, right? Glovers that weren't listening to this 3, 4 years ago. One of you guys came in here and told us that perspective is something that we made up. Something that is only existing in maybe art class. It has no functionality in reality. I think it was P. Mars. Could be wrong. I think it was him. Right? So, again, how silly does it make you guys look when you want to tell us now that it's perspective? When before, 4 years ago, you were telling us perspective is some nonsense flat earthers are just using it as an excuse.
An excuse for a begging the question, proof of nothing perspective hijacking earth curve, physical geometric sphere edge horizon that gets in the way and yet only exists in the maths when you don't have any perspective taken into account and you see the side of your own head compared to a picture like the one on screen that definitely doesn't include the photographer's head. But yet this very picture has been compared to earth curve maths a picture with perspective, things getting smaller into the distance, where they assert that no, this isn't getting smaller into the distance, it's dropping behind an Earth curve that only exists in maths, when we put the maths of seeing your own head and remove the fact that they get smaller into the distance. Yeah, that's what they do. Because they're stupid. That's what globe belief does to you. Makes you stupid.
Well, when they have to defend it, the belief itself, no one's out there talking about this in the public to where they're embarrassed when they say the stupid remarks we hear. When they come here and they have to defend it, oh man, they look pretty bad. So they're almost, it's almost like a drug, you know. It's like, oh, okay, yeah, but pass me the salt. But the minute you challenge them, they don't know how they answer. This is why a lot of people don't talk.
And if it gets bad enough, they'll ask you, can I have a citation that what you're saying is my claim is actually my claim, even though I just made the claim?
I was just going to go there, because how many times has Chocolate shared his dialogues with his co-workers? I mean, it's like, no way, that's not what I believe.
Nobody claims the horizon is Earth curve.
Yeah, something like that.
Shout out to Timmy. Shout out Retracted.
Yeah, shout out retracted. The idea that you live on a sphere requires that you have a physical geometric sphere edge horizon, formerly known as Earth curve, obscuring things with a feet and inches value that doesn't change with distance. That's your belief. Now, we've debunked that notion that you've got a physical geometric sphere edge that you could measure to derive an R value to assume Earth's a sphere. We've debunked it. And in so doing, we get told by globe-believing idiots that literally, quote, nobody claims the horizon is Earth curve.
Incredible.
You just lost, globe believers. Badly.
Yeah,
And the thing is, the funny thing is that guy who said that wasn't like some brand new Glober just fresh on the scene. Like, this is a guy that has been coming in here for 4 years, spouting his nonsense, showing us pictures of horizons and telling us, yeah, that's the curve of the Earth. The same picture.
What was the title of the picture that he was trying to punt on that very show when he said, quote, nobody claims the horizon is Earth curve? What was the title? You remember?
I think it was the curve of the Earth.
It was, this is Earth curve and a picture of lots of horizons.
4 of them, yep, in the same picture.
So he's trying to punt a picture that he's been touting for 2 years, labelled this is Earth curve, pictures of horizons, and his demonstrations with a drone of what the horizon does when he raises and lowers in altitude. And when we point out how the Black Swan modus tollens works, if the Earth is a sphere, radius 3959, then every distance to horizon can be measured no more than 1.2 times the square root of the observer's height in feet. And the Black Swan shows the physical limitations breached. Therefore, the Earth's not a sphere. Response: nobody claims the horizon's Earth curve. Is that right, Tim Osman? Nobody claims the horizon's Earth curve, Tim? Okay, alright, that's fascinating. What's this picture you've got of horizons? This is Earth curve? Yeah, we know that's your base premise for your religious belief that Earth's a sphere, that the horizon's blocking stuff, and you ask us to qualify why a feet and inches value's been obscured by that physical geometric sphere edge, formerly known as Earth curve, that you're now claiming nobody says is Earth curve. Yeah, that's what the Black Swan does to your argument, sphere believers. We cover all the housekeeping questions.
Yeah, I'm just thinking about him and his drone, thinking that the higher he goes with his drone, the more Earth he sees, but it doesn't tie that to the angular relationship. He says it's Earth curve. When
I posted a clip of it in Master B if you want to play it. I don't know if it's got the exact quote, but I know he says something like it in it.
Hasn't come through to me. I haven't got it, Chocolate. Master B? No.
Yeah, give me a second.
No worries. Might pop through in a minute. If it does, I'll play it. But yeah, you deny or ask. That was the break that started Chocolate saying that they'll ask you for citation when you prove their claim wrong. Where do we claim that we have Coriolis drift at 15 degrees now? Earth spinning with the air. Show me where we say we have drift. Meanwhile, in the comments, thanks Bob for proving a 15 degrees an hour drift under a gyro. So what? Thanks Bob for proving we turn beneath stuff at 15 degrees an hour, like helicopters and aeroplanes and drones. No, we don't. We notice. Show me where we claim drift. That's what they say. Ask you to prove that their claim you've debunked is actually their claim. Now you've debunked it.
When they say Earth spinning with the air, when I first heard that, it was like, this people are on drugs. We got east, west, north, south winds, but Earth is spinning with the winds.
I don't even know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I know you don't. You're dumb as fuck. The horizon's not a physical edge. Do you need me to rattle off a few quotes from your own side about how non-physical the horizon is? It's 2020, mate. Try and keep up. The horizon is not a physical geometric sphere edge, Tim. Didn't you know? You seem to know about the black swan, but yet you don't know what it means.
What is it then, Nathan?
There's my black swan. It's actually been posted.
Sorry, the black swan we have debunks your claim that this touted shite that you've just presented, claimed to be undebunkable, has just been annihilated by the fact we don't have a physical sphere edge. And that's what you're claiming is Earth curve, mate. Maybe ignore it for the 7th time.
Any of those claims. I've never made any of this. You're strawmanning.
Oh, really? So the horizon in this image isn't Earth curve?
You're
Now that
just
he
strawmanning me.
Strawmanning me or ignoring what I've just pointed out. So you've never made that claim. So the horizon in your image is touted for the last 2 years isn't Earth curve then, Tim?
Now that Tim is actually
Shut up. Whoever that is, shut up.
Earth curve?
Mr.
Does
Solaris,
anyone
shut
even
up.
say that? Does anyone say that the horizon is Earth curve?
Yeah, you do, you dumb fuck. Brilliant. Yeah. Does anybody say the horizon's Earth curve? Yeah, it's the basis of your religion.
Yeah, you have for the past 4 years, and you are actually doing it right now. But yeah, don't worry about that.
Yeah, the image that you're about to present to the audience has got the title, This is Earth Curve, and is an image of multiple horizons. Does anybody claim the horizon's Earth curve? Yeah, you. It's just been debunked by the Black Swan. We don't have a horizon that's Earth curve. So meanwhile, let's all talk about perspective, right? Let's all talk about that, right up until the point that someone asks you where it is in Earth curve maths. It isn't.
Well, that's the problem. When the Earth curve only exists in the calculation, you can never show it or prove it.
Was there anything more to that clip that was worth playing?
Nah, it was kind of short because I didn't want to make it too long.
It said it all.
He said it 3 times in
I
3
mean, if you
different
want
ways.
to play, I don't know how much is left. If you want to play the rest, it's not much though.
Okay. So you're saying the horizon is an Earth curve, right, Tim? Nobody says that, right? Welcome to Flat Earth. So just for the clarity that it needs, Tim's just made it clear that nobody claims the horizon's Earth curve, right, Tim?
I've never heard that someone says that the horizon is Earth curve.
Oh, really? What do you think the Earth curve maths is asserting then, Tim?
You're a straw manning his position.
Can you
and
shut
not
up,
addressing
Mr.
the picture he
Solaris,
posted
or
to
whatever
you.
you're called? Yeah, that's it. That's the end. Bundy muting, white knighting started at that point because obviously Tim's getting an absolute beating, so his brethren comes to save him.
Yep. Yeah, it was devastating.
I've never heard anybody claim that the horizon's Earth curve, right, Tim? Oh, really? What's that you're touting? This is Earth, Kev.
I remember laughing so bad at that my coworkers looked at me like, "What the hell? Are you all right?" I'm sitting here like, I don't believe what I'm listening to, man.
Yeah, that's because of ignorance, basically. Tim had disappeared off the scene for a short period of time, maybe 6 or 8 months. And in that exact period, we were discussing the Black Swan and nothing else. And then he came back. Now, it had slowed down a little bit, obviously 8 months into the argument, enough for him to not really concern himself with it. It's not a hot topic. It's not like brand spanking fresh new. So he came in and he's like, yeah, I know about the Black Swan, because he's vaguely heard about it. But he doesn't. So then when it's put to him and he's taken through the steps of the logical consistency, where's he going to go? Nowhere, except to declare that nobody's claiming the Horizon's Earth curve. That's where you go as a fundy when you met with the Black Swan, and you can't just hand wave it in a comment and obfuscate away from it. Lying to yourselves.
And no ballers, huh? No one in chat? I'm not looking
Pretty
at
weird that space.com article, which was literally named "How to Debate a Flat Earther," started with a very cute paragraph and ended it with, "It all starts at the horizon." So a little weird that somebody who's been debating this for 4 years would come in and tell us, "Yeah, I've never heard that." who makes that claim? As I make that claim.
It starts there and it ends there.
Exactly.
So any ballers in chat? It's Friday. Come on, join in.
You got nothing but tumbleweeds.
Yeah, interesting.
The chat.
The undefendable globe. No one wants to defend the globe anymore. It's so embarrassing now.
Was that someone trying to pipe
I
up
think it's
in...
embarrassing that it even needs defense in the first place.
Hold on a second. Was that someone trying to pipe up in Discord?
Yeah, I was just gonna say the chat skanks are just gossiping in a live stream chat. So no proofs, nothing.
I'm debating whether or not to trim that part out with that bint that was on, claiming that I'd made up the logical fallacy of begging the question. But I don't know how on topic it is to trim it out. I mean, other than highlighting baller stupidity, what purpose does it serve?
What do you mean? To show how dumb these ballers are. You gotta trim that out.
Nah, I don't think I will.
No, I don't think so. Someone's trying to say something, though.
I don't think they were.
No, there was someone at the same time Neil was talking.
Probably me.
No, it was female voice.
My wife is right next to me, so you might have heard her talking.
Oh, God.
Okay.
All right.
I mean, what I did trim out was Sasha's question. Now, Sasha's a long-time watcher, and he knows what he's doing when he asks certain questions. But he asked us, how did they get the tennis balls up to the ISS for them to do a live link-up after the French Open or something like that? Anyway, my response being, space is fake, and they want us to argue about how they got the jerseys up to know what the Super Bowl contenders were going to be. Because then you're all begging the question that the sky is a vacuum, and then the only concern is how they got it up there within the timings. And as long as that's argued about enough, eventually, when they come up with a legitimate reason for why they've got something to get to a fake place that doesn't exist, everyone's satisfied. Oh, right, here's their explanation for how they got the jerseys up there in the way they did. So that video I trimmed out, that'll come out tonight. So if you're watching this live, that's coming out tonight. It's called Space Tennis, a begging the question story.
That didn't make any sense to me because all they have to do is have a jersey of each team in a league.
On a set, on Earth.
No, having all of them. So, okay, let's just go with what Neil's just said. So, in order to overcome this problem, so we say, how did they get the jerseys to know which contenders would be in the final? And the response is, whilst in a second law of thermodynamics violation sky vacuum, they had all of the jerseys for all of the teams that could be in contention sent up prior in a former trip to a place that doesn't exist. Or to rephrase, when they last went through the wardrobe to Narnia, they took all the jerseys so that they'd got it all covered when they were in Narnia. That's how they did it.
I agree. But I'm saying to bring it up, how would they know what teams is stupid? That's all.
Not how they would operate in a violation of the second law of thermodynamics claimed to be a sky vacuum. You'd worry about how they'd figure out the timings for the jerseys rather than how they'd operate in a place that doesn't exist.
No, I agree. That's why I think the argument of what jerseys is stupid.
No, I think the answer is right there. They have to go through the closet, and in the closet are all the jerseys hanging.
Terrible.
I would like to go through that closet now.
Right, the closet is the trip from Earth to a place that isn't real. Space. A space that gas would fill if it were real, and we'd all be dead. So it's akin to Narnia, because travelling through a wardrobe to Narnia is the same as travelling through a sky vacuum to get to space. There is no space, there is no Narnia, so we don't need to worry about Edmund's change of shoes, or coat, or jerseys in Narnia, because they never went to Narnia. Narnia is not real. We don't need to worry about how they got the jerseys or the tennis balls to the ISS, because the place they're operating in is not real.
Oh, man, you just ruined a good story.
Okay, but I know, because they didn't age, man. They didn't age.
I'll just stick with the flux capacitor when I get to 88.
Hello, John. Okie dokie.
Hi, Nathan.
So yeah, that comes out tonight, 9 o'clock UK time. Usual time for a flat Earth debate on my second channel, but on a Friday there's no. I skip a day on a Friday. So yeah, go and check it out. Be Here or Be Sphere. It's called Space Tennis. There's a preview available now. If anyone's wondering why you get two videos that are very similar a few days apart, I'll explain. It used to just be amusing to me that the trolls couldn't figure it out, but now we'll explain, because enough people have asked on both sides. So YouTube now has a facility where you can put a trailer. Now, a trailer is any video less than 3 minutes. Now, obviously, they're expecting you to use the material that's actually in the video that's going to come out at a later date as a premiere. But while it's set to premiere, you can have a trailer. So right now, if you go and click on the video that's on the Nathan Oakley 1980 homepage under the playlist on the front page, which is called Flat Earth Thoughts 1980, you can click on that video that's set to premiere at 9 PM, and it will play out the trailer that I've already published as an unlisted video. That's how you do it. So if you want to know, you can look into this yourself on how to do it if you're a YouTuber. But that means that while the video is waiting to premiere, you can watch a trailer that's 3 minutes long. Once the video comes out, I then wait a few days and then release the short version. So you get a short version, normally less than, well, it must be less than 3 minutes long, and a long version. Very handy for me, because when in collaboration with DITRH, or the Flat Earth, Sun, Moon and Zodiac Clock app channel, he suggested getting a load of short clips together, 3 minutes long or less, or 5 minutes long, I think he said. But by coincidence, because I've made a load of trailers, I've got that. So I've put it all in the Dearth list, or Deep Inside the Rabbit Hole list, DITRH list, on my channel. So now I've got a load of 3 minute videos. But if anyone wonders why have I got the same or similar material, just much more condensed and much more concise, a couple of days after, that's why. There you go.
Nathan, has anybody given evidence of that ring of fire that Hop was asking for?
No,
Just
he's here as
wondering.
well. Hey, Harp. No, and I keep periodically checking back on it. Go on, Harp. Did you want to...
So, it's good morning, guys.
Good morning.
It's very good that I got up. I wanted to talk to you early about this, but I could not get up because I was up since 4 o'clock looking into this shit. So, I found these images that we've been looking at, that you can go back on these images and find them on the internet already. In other words, we don't have any pictures from 2021.
Yet.
Well, that's a problem.
Yeah, it is.
At all. Those pictures they're giving us are not from 2021.
Okay.
Ones of the supposed ring of fire.
Okay, so I'll reiterate the issue, and then I'm sure you'll hopefully.
So now I
clarify.
just like,
Go on.
yeah, I was just going to say the reason I first brought this up was because we were talking about this in the after show, literally a couple days before it was supposed to happen. And of course, the Globers are in there saying we predict these things to the very second. And like I said before, I noticed that the Great Conjunction didn't ever happen. So, and I wanted to see the Ring of Fire. I was very interested. I started looking for the video, and there's nothing there. I'm thinking, oh, these guys, something's going on, and these guys think that the only way to predict these eclipses is using their global whatever.
Okay, perfect.
Saros.
Perfect.
Now the Saros, right? That began before, like most likely Aristotle and Eratosthenes. They already had these records so long ago, and with the technology we have today, they can look on these dates and just figure everything out. They should be able to figure it out to the second. They should. They didn't.
Okay.
So here's the question. Can somebody use this Saros to predict the next eclipse? It's going to be extremely close to what this is, and have it match the one that's already written. Like we're supposed to have another one.
Okay.
Can somebody do these maths?
I don't
in
know
other
why you
words,
want
this
to
takes
expand
like
on your
18 or
point. Hold
19
on.
years.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
So I don't know why you want to expand on your point. So there's been an eclipse. You were told in chat that you were going to have it predicted to the second based on a heliocentric globe model. And then it came and went, and nothing. No ridicule in our way when I've put it up. Check it out if you want to see this echoed in a more expansive way. The video is called Eclipse 2021 as predicted ? And you would expect us to have our noses rubbed in it, right? Yeah, you idiots. Look, we predicted it, and here it is. Not at all. That's not how this has happened.
But even if it did, what's the big deal?
Well, they've got to affirm the consequent by saying Earth a sphere, therefore eclipse, eclipse, therefore a sphere. And so far they've got Earth's a sphere, therefore the eclipse. Yeah, what about that eclipse? They've got, if they're going to affirm the consequent, they've got to actually have the observation of the thing they say they're going to happen to prove they're begging the question fallacy in the first statement. If P, then Q. If Earth a sphere, if Earth a sphere, that would be your P statement. Then we'll observe the eclipse thusly. That's your Q statement. So then you've got to affirm the consequent, which is to say we observe the eclipse thusly, therefore Earth's a sphere. Well, they haven't. That's the problem. I mean, we'll get to it if they offer it, and then we'll point out that they've affirmed the consequent. But we're not even at that stage yet. They haven't even formed the fallacy.
No, I understand all that, but I'm saying even if they did show a picture of the Ring of Fire, it proves nothing.
Correct.
Of course.
They keep using this word prediction.
Yeah.
Are they predicting, or,
No.
or are they just recognizing patterns?
Recognize
Patterns.
Yeah, Saros.
You got it.
Saros.
What up,
Shameless
John?
plug time.
Again?
Sorry to interrupt this intellectual conversation about non-predictions. Signature Numpty Clip coming up Monday. Don't miss it. Fossilized brain tissue, starring Miles the Liar Davis, Sly the Spunk Monkey, Sparkane, and OLM, Oh Loser. Don't miss it. Thanks.
I was about to tell you off for we interrupt this highly intellectual actual discussion about the nature of reality for a plug for a show I've got going on. But I happen to know that's a very bloody good show, and I'll probably mirror it.
Thank you. Sorry, didn't mean to be rude.
Did someone have a prediction that Q would come on and plug a show, or do we know he was going to come on?
It's a pattern. It's a pattern.
Recognizing a pattern, baby.
Great minds. Chocolate. Yeah, indeed.
I set you guys
So-
up. Come on, give me a plug.
Feed line, punchline. Gotta have the good feed line. You're right, 10th. It's all down to you.
No, I was
Have
going to
you-
say Raphael's Emephorus, as well as the Nautical Almanac, they know where the stars are 1,000 years in the past, 1,000 years in the future. They know the whole circuit. They know the pattern.
Maybe. Unless that pattern happened to change or not match up for whatever reason.
Yes.
Well, here's the thing about the pattern, right? It's not always identical. It says nearly, like when you're predicting these things in the future using this pattern, it says nearly exact. So I think they're using this Ceros. They obviously are because there's no globe. So they're obviously using this Ceros. And they predicted this thing and they screwed it up. And how many of these have they screwed up? Where all of a sudden the weather's bad and nobody can see it unless you're in a plane flying above the clouds.
You haven't got that
They
either.
like literally, did they know?
You haven't got any
Yeah,
of that, though.
they-
So you haven't got the plane above the ground, though. No, nobody's giving you anything, have they?
No,
There's a
they
video
have-
of a plane and a bunch of
still
these
pictures.
eclipse, people, but the video hasn't shown up.
Just pictures. That's all.
Yeah, but as you explained earlier,
Aren't there
after lots
people
of
that-
research, you figured out that the pictures that they have actually provided you are pre-existing pictures. They're not pictures from the June 10th full totality eclipse that was predicted according to them when they affirmed the consequent.
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah, aren't there people that would have been in the path of the totalitarian part of the eclipse? Wouldn't there be people from those
Totality, not-
regions that would be wondering this same question?
Yeah, so the people in Canada, in other words, but it's totality, not totalitarian.
Well, unless they force it on you.
Just hold on a second, guys in G+. Just ask, guys, hello. Just ask your question again, Rand, please.
Yeah, I'm just wondering what the people in Canada and in the regions where you were supposed to be able to see this Ring of Fire eclipse. I mean, I'm sure a lot of people went out that night to look at, to see it, and a lot of them must be disappointed and asking questions today, wouldn't they?
Yeah, and it's very, very underreported. Precisely. You'd think this would be news, but it's now become a non-event that we're not having our noses rubbed in it for. We're the ones talking about it, as opposed to them rubbing our faces in it because they're affirming the consequent model predicted it, therefore because it predicted it, it makes their model real. Well, we're not getting any of that. It just doesn't make any sense. This isn't what was going down, again, as detailed earlier by Harp. Prior to the event, they were rubbing our noses prior to it with the self-assurance that they were going to actually have the event occur. And it didn't. We haven't been given any evidence that they've got the affirming the consequent evidence to actually affirm the consequent. So we can pull it apart as a fallacy. They haven't even got the fallacy. It's totally pathetic. It's a real loser for them. Anyway, with that, I'm going to say, if you are watching this on either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley premiering streams, stay tuned as there will be an after show to follow. Unfortunately, if you are watching this live, this is where we bid you farewell. So a huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of you who smashed the super chat, liked, commented, shared, subscribed, or joined as a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member. I've been Nathan Oakley. Stay tuned if you're watching on a premiering stream, and I'll see you all in the next video.
What a lovely day!
Undebunkable has just been annihilated by the fact we don't have a physical sphere edge. And that's what you're claiming is Earth curve, mate. Maybe ignore it for the 7th time.
Any of those claims. I've never The heck was that? You made any of this? You're straw manning.
Oh, really? So the horizon in this image isn't Earth curve?
You're
Now
just
that
straw
he
manning me.
Straw manning me or ignoring what I've just pointed out. So you've never made that claim. So the I don't know why it's going all
Is
glitchy.
this on
Chocolate.
loop?
Horizon in your image is touted for the last 2 years. Isn't Earth curve then, Tim?
now that Tim is actually
Shut up. Whoever that is, shut up.
Curve?
Yeah,
Mr.
this is
Solaris,
on
shut
loop.
up.
Say that? Does anyone say that the horizon is Earth curve?
Yeah, you do, you dumb fuck. Sorry. Don't know why that was all glitchy. Struggling to load it on Skype for some reason.
That's wonderful.
By the way, guys, every time Nathan says go and sub to Arwen, right? I go and sub to Arwen. So, like, this is the 5th time I'm going ahead and sub to Arwen. So I was watching his show this morning because I couldn't go back to sleep. And there he is sitting with his nipples out.
Because it's hot over there.
That's a fair point. You know, I would also go with that. You know, subscribe today to Arwen. You'll get to see him with his nipples out. It's well worth subscribing. I totally agree with you.
Marketing
Tit for
technique.
tat.
Makes sense.
Hold on, we need for it to be
Oh,
humorous.
good one, Ted.
For it to be comical, we need his objection afterwards. Moment has passed.
He probably went shopping.
Oh my God.
Thank you there.
The moment's past half, but yeah,
He's not here?
no. Oh yeah, he is. He's just not answering.
Well, maybe we'll get the rest of the story later.
I'll wait for that, Tim.
Again,
Well, we'll nip it in the bud.
let's get to the nub of this conversation and
Oh
then move
boy.
Stop milking it.
on. Stop milking it.
That was good.
No wonder Rumpus comes here and says, utter, utter, utter.
No, he can't come here anymore because he's a proven liar.
Don't miss my utter joke,
Butter went
please.
by you, huh?
Hey everybody, how are things?
Hey,
Very well, Brian.
Brian,
Watched your video today, and I'm glad I did because I didn't have as comprehensive an understanding as I thought I did, and now I do. Thank you very much. Brilliant video.
The one from today, the 11-minute one, yes? That one,
Yeah.
is it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
excellent. I left a comment on it, and I time-stamped the summary. So if someone comes along and they're... Because it's a good video, but it's a little bit longer. Some people have only got about a 3-minute attention span. So I time-stamped it as the concise summary is at 3 minutes and something seconds, so that people can go and just get your point immediately.
Yeah, it's one of those things. I wanted it to be 3 minutes long, but it wasn't possible for me to do that. You know what I mean?
No, I totally got it. No, I get it. That's why I put it in there, because I thought if I was making this video, what I would have done is trimmed out that little section and put it right at the beginning, and then had it repeated as the video progressed.
Yeah, maybe that's for a future video then. Maybe that's for a future video. Because I have to look in at it for hours and hours. Well, earlier on, I was up less than an hour, and I had, I think it was 68 or 70 something views. I had over 30 dislikes, and I had 3 likes, and one of them was mine. So I knew that was causing a lot of bothers. But the latest news, right? Because it's funny you played the Tim Osman clip. The latest news is that Wolfie doesn't claim drop.
Oh, it gets better and better. I mean, we knew it would start crumbling apart at the seams, but when you've got Tim Osman telling you there's no Earth curve, nobody claims it, and Wolfie's claiming there's no drop, I mean, we've won. That's where we're at.
Yeah, I mean, as Kiwi said yesterday, what's 8 inches per mile square then? What's all that? You know what I mean? Is that not drop?
Nobody claims the Earth has drop.
Yeah, they're screwed because the chord line, which is the center of the wing, if you look at the wing side on, just a very quick, brief summary for people listening. If you look at a wing side on, there's a thing called a chord line, which is a line that runs through the center of it. Now, that chord line cannot go below horizontal because once it does, they start losing all lift. If it goes, let's say, 0.5 of a degree below horizontal, they lose probably about 85 to 90% of their lift. If it goes about a degree to 2 degrees below horizontal, they have no lift. So it makes it absolutely an impossibility to fly it around the globe Earth without constantly losing lift, let's just say. You'd have to constantly be falling out of the sky and then readjusting. So if you were in a plane, the plane would have to be bringing its nose, or let's say its wing line below horizontal. So it's not even just the nose; it's the wing line. And what creates lift, the whole thing that creates lift, they're all things that are needed in flying, and some of them, like thrust, creates lift because it pushes down on the tail at the back, creates lift without them having to even do anything, because it causes a tilted airplane, which causes lift. They literally, if they use a lot of thrust, they have to push the nose down because otherwise they'll end up in a stall. Because if they use too much thrust, because it can happen where the plane ends up with the wings too far above horizontal, which takes away lift as well. So they have to have it a few above 1 degree and below kind of 10 or 11 degrees above horizontal to fly an airplane. But they don't. But Wolfie doesn't claim drop.
Right. Well, he wouldn't, because from what I gleaned from your explanation, they're always above that angle, even if they're going really fast. So you're explaining that the quicker you're going, the more thrust you've got, the more the tail's going to be trying to push the aircraft in the opposite direction. So you have to adjust for that by nosing down, but you're never nosing below horizontal.
No, I mean, there might be a few. There might be some jet fighters, let's just say, that may be able to bring their nose below horizontal. They might be designed that way because the B-52 bomber flies with its nose below horizontal, but its chord line is above horizontal because it's about the wings, not just the nose. Now, there's no other plane I know of.
Yeah, aside from, I get what you're saying, because you could create, let's say for the sake of argument, you got rid of all the metal around the cockpit and replaced it all with glass. Well, yeah, okay, so what you're saying, that because you can look through the bottom edge of that plane, or furthermore, if you got a Concorde scenario where the nose literally tips for whatever reason, but that was actually with the captain inside. Well, yeah, okay, so the nose is technically pointing down because you've engineered it that way, but it doesn't mean that the angle of attack when it comes to the wings is going to be pointing down, though.
No, I mean, 99% of planes will have their nose above horizontal. It's only like the likes of good that you said Concorde, because that may have been designed to have its nose down because it was doing such speed that it might need to constantly have a situation where its nose is being pushed down because of the lift it would generate. Because it's pushing down on the tail. But I know the B-52 bomber is the only one I could find that flies with its nose below horizontal. And the reason for that was because, and that's why they still use it, because they can see down below better, I think, and they can fly slower, whatever way it's designed. So obviously for bombing missions, that would be handy, I suppose. But every other, all Boeing, all Airbus, all everything, every Cessna, they all fly with their nose above horizontal. And every plane has to fly with its chord line above horizontal. So anyone that says that the B-52 flies with its nose below horizontal, that's fine. Its chord line is above horizontal. So that's what matters. If that's not, there is no lift.
So how did you go from that to Wolfie making the declaration that there isn't any drop?
Oh, he made that declaration before I even made that video. He made that declaration on my previous. I'm after making 3 videos so far. I made another one yesterday. And that was a good bit longer. And he made that declaration.
Drop?
Yeah.
What?
In the comments. That's what he's claiming now.
Oh.
It's a straw man. I'm straw manning him with drop.
Oh, the drop is a straw man. That's adorable.
Oh, wow. So when it's another scenario, having only mentioned it about 10 minutes ago, where we point out that their claim is they're on a sphere with 8 inches per mile drop. In other words, Earth is spherical and dropping away from your vantage point no matter where you are. But yet when you point out that planes don't have to deal with it, in fact, it actually violates the aerodynamic properties of nearly all planes if you exclude just the nose in terms of where it's pointing. The chord line's always above horizontal. So therefore, when you point that out to a globe believer, they tell you that the claim they make that Earth is dropping away at 8 inches per mile squared is a straw man claim. Next, he'll be asking you to cite where they claim they have drop, right?
Yeah, that's what's coming next. And
wow.
as I say, look, 99% of all aircraft will have the nose above horizontal. It's only the B-52 is the only one I could find, and that's made in that way for that specific reason. The Concorde maybe might have been done the same. I don't know, but that's not necessarily I could find that does that. Gliders do because of the way their wings are positioned as well. But they have lift. You have to have your chord line above horizontal. So it doesn't really. So anyone who makes the argument, oh, the nose in this plane is below, that's a nonsense argument anyway, because what about these other ones that fly with the nose above? So but the ballers, they come up with that nonsense. But yeah, it's a straw man. It's a straw man that does drop. That I'm claiming that he claims does drop.
I love it. I absolutely love it.
So do I. It's fantastic. What other straw mans you guys got that you guys claim? Or
Geometric Horizon's a straw man. Geometric Horizon, Earth, a sphere, radius 3959. That's a straw man, apparently.
Yeah, that is.
Poor guys.
Basically, their claim that the Earth is a sphere is so preposterous that when we parrot it back to them, they tell us that that's a straw man.
Exactly.
Something else that happened within the past 3 videos is the first one I brought out. I had 5 pilots telling me I was wrong about everything, basically. And a whole huge amount of trolls telling me I don't know what I'm talking about. I was wrong about everything in my first video. Now, things in my first video, anyone who was a pilot should have stopped and listened to what I was saying and thought about it, but they didn't. I was told that lift has nothing to do with entropy, right? Like Bernoulli's principle is faster moving air going over the top of the wing causes a low pressure, and a slower moving air going underneath the wing, which causes a high pressure. So high pressure wants to go to low, and that causes lift. I was told, right? I said that's due to entropy, right? An increase in entropy, right? You could say, or a change in entropy, right? That's what it is, right? I don't think I'm incorrect in any way in saying that.
No, you're not.
I was told I was 100% wrong.
High pressure to low pressure. There you go. That's entropy increase. Yes, you're correct.
Yeah, I mean, that's part of the description of one of the main parts of the description of the second law of thermodynamics. And Bernoulli's principle, when I was reading about it, does equate to the first law of thermodynamics in some way. You know, I'm not an expert on those three laws. I just know the basics of them, and I know what entropy is from seeing it my whole life, or experiencing it, I should say. Sorry, my whole life. But the thing about it is I was told I was wrong about that. I was told when I said that lift causes the nose of the plane to tilt up, I was told I was totally wrong. This is by pilots. And I had to point out in my past 2 videos that the pressure starts about what's called the center of pressure, which would be where the high pressure would be at its most concentrated and where it starts, is 1/4 way back from the leading edge of the wing, which causes a tilt up of the nose because it's pushing up on the front of the wing, right? Which causes the wing to tilt, which will cause the rest of the plane to tilt, right? And I stated this, and it was so, and no one's coming back to say to jump on that, say you're totally wrong, because they can't. Because I mean, pilots, like if you're pilots, how come you didn't think about that? Like, why would you not think of that? Why would you tell me I'm wrong? And that's what happens. So they've gone quiet on that point. You know, so there's several things I said, and I was told it was totally wrong. One of the pilots was a flat earther. I'm not going to mention his name, and he gave me a hard time on Skype and told me I was stupid and everything else. I mean, where are they now? But yeah, a lot of things I said in the first video that wasn't understood, and bit by bit I'm explaining them. But I shouldn't have to explain these things to pilots.
I wonder who that could be.
We won't mention any names.
But we all know who it is.
It doesn't matter. It makes no difference. Thank you, Brian.
But
right.
yeah, it's because their claim, not only it's our first argument was just like in QE's presentations, you can't have the nose of the plane, the nose of the aircraft, like commercial aircraft. You're better off saying for the audience, saying commercial aircraft at cruising altitude. That's what I always say. Won't fly with nose below horizontal. But now this is the reason why they won't. It's not just that they don't, right? It's that now the audience has the reason why they won't. They won't because there's no lift if they start doing that stuff.
Why is it?
Now I've took up enough of the show.
No. I want you to comment on something. Why is it, as you're talking about this the last few days, I'm thinking of all the times I stuck my hand out the window driving a car and manipulating the wind by just adjusting my hand in a prone flat position and experiencing lift and experiencing when I go to, in this sense, lean forward or nose down, so to speak, then my hand totally dives. But you can just drive a car and stick your hand out and understand what Brian is saying.
Yeah, everyone's done that as a kid, hasn't it? They've all done it.
I do it now.
Yeah. Yeah. It's never. I mean, I don't know where they're going to go with this one. I mean, all they can do is tell me I'm totally wrong and misrepresent me. Because I'm not even replying to comments. Only the good comments. I'm not replying.
You know where they're going to go. You know where they're going to go. They're going to ask you, show us a citation that we have dropped on this ball that we're supposed to live on and have dropped.
It's already happened. That's what's happened. That's exactly what has happened. We don't claim drop, it's a straw man. So your claim that we have drop on the globe is actually our flat earth claim that you have drop on a globe, and it's a straw man because you don't claim you have drop on a globe. We're misrepresenting your argument and making you defend something that you don't claim. They're saying they don't claim drop. Yeah, they do.
A lot of the comments I'm getting are, so should I listen to you or should I listen to a real pilot on how to fly a plane? It's like, so you think you can tell pilots how to fly a plane? Nothing in any of my videos is telling pilots how to fly a plane. Never once did I attempt to try and instruct a pilot on how to fly a plane.
Hold on. There's a very distinct. Hello. There's a very distinct difference between how to fly a plane and how to make a plane fly. Those are very different things. So I've experienced this when I was dealing with distributors versus their end users in studios. The studio engineer might be able to make a beautiful sound come out of a black box, and he might be able to explain what he thinks the black box does. Doesn't mean he does. Doesn't mean he doesn't know how to operate it. Doesn't mean he can't operate it better than I can, knowing how the machinery works. But they're two distinctly different things. Being trained on how to make a plane operate isn't how to make a plane fly in the first instance. That's an engineering task, not a pilot's task.
Yeah, exactly. And that's all I'm getting off of the trolls. They're trying to just misdirect people. Luckily, there's enough flatter comments in there and positive comments in there on the videos. But that's all they can do. It's a total straw man. You're telling the pilots how to fly a plane. How could I ever tell a pilot how to fly a plane? How stupid would that be? You know. But I can point out how planes fly because that's public knowledge, and anyone can say that.
Exactly. Loads of people have got a copy of Windows Flight Simulator. Anybody can do that job.
Yeah. It was the same thing before with the surveyors. You're telling surveyors how to do their job. No one ever told surveyors how to do their job, or engineers.
But weren't we talking about that in the pre-show with that Lorenzo's oil and how the doctors were telling him that he was kind of arrogant. Is that the same kind of thing?
Yeah, we're surveyors. Who are you to tell us how we survey the Earth? When we explain that we beg the question with a zenith to a presupposed spherical Earth based on a datum and then map it out with Euclidean, all flat, that means Earth's a sphere. Who are you to tell us otherwise?
Yeah, I would suggest anybody to, if they want to go from A to B, and it's going to be a big distance and they're flying, I would suggest that if they could get Wolfie as their pilot, I would definitely get Wolfie as their pilot, because Wolfie is an excellent pilot. He's military for years and he's commercial now. He's be an excellent pilot.
Wolfie's a certified dumbass.
Doesn't mean he's not a good pilot. Doesn't mean he's not a good pilot.
I don't care if he's a pilot. He's a fucking clown. Come outside of your show there, brother. I'll tear you a new asshole. Slap you half a sissy. He's a dumbass.
But
he's been
my point
Tell us how you really feel.
May West.
Okay, just let Brian summarize just to round out, and then we'll move on. Go ahead, Brian.
Yeah, I'm just saying that I am in no way telling Wolfie how to fly a plane, or Blue Marble Science, or the pilot Trevor Austin. Hang on. I'm only talking about flying an airplane. All these people have commercial licenses. They all fly. I'm not telling any of them how to fly. If anyone wants to fly get brought somewhere in an airplane, I would suggest Wolfie as a pilot, because he has to be a good pilot. He's ex-military pilot and he's a commercial pilot. He must be at the top of his game. But if anyone wants to know what the shape of the Earth is, don't ask Wolfie, because he has it wrong.
Top of his game. I know ex-military that are not at the top of their damn game. That's bullshit. Get his dumb ass in here and I'll show you.
Okay.
Go get him.
I'm talking about piloting.
Look, he's just trying to distinguish between
What they do, right? It's the same thing all over again. They use their credentials behind their name to float their fairy tales. That's all they do, right? And I have a special contempt for those types. That's all they're doing.
Correct.
Did I hear Chocolate say they're stalling now?
Oh, God.
No, I didn't say that.
I thought I heard you say that.
You're going to hear a prime example of this Monday. This little scenario of using your credentials to put forth your little fairy tales, but it blows up in their face every single time. Here's a classic example coming at you. Just what I'm talking about. Same goes for all of them. They don't have any credentials. They're average skanking file baltards. That's it.
Who is the guy that?
How do you know they're good pilots, though?
Who was the guy that completely lost his rag?
Pilot or not? I want to fly with him. Friggin' R.C. Meisty's a pilot too, right? I asked him the other day the difference between an explanation and a description. He couldn't tell me. Then I asked him to give me the difference between altitude and elevation. As a pilot, he couldn't fucking tell me. I mean, give me a break.
Well, at least that explains his accelerated coffee cups now. He takes it on the plane.
Everyone knows, right? Everyone knows you don't have to be a rocket scientist to figure it out. If you're flying over a sphere, right, with a certain amount of drop, then the plane has got to account for that and lose elevation to account for that curvature. I'm sorry, altitude. To account for that curvature. It's a duh. Right? I don't have to be an expert housing contractor to know that the refrigerator goes in the fucking kitchen. Okay? So, Wolfie, get your dumb ass in here. I'll leave you with the
drop is a straw man now, John.
Chocolate.
Christ. Gotta be chocolate.
Of course it is.
Fucking show up and rumpus me. What did you have to add?
Dropping a straw man now, man. Why are you mad?
Please add something.
Drop is a straw man.
Oh.
Yeah.
Can you stop interrupting me while I'm interrupting you, man? What the hell?
Terrible moderating.
Wow.
Okay, right, Chocolate, hold on a second. He's trying to communicate to you, John, that their position, specifically stated by Wolfie, is that the claim that there's drop is a straw man claim. That's what he's trying to get through to you.
Yeah, and Roman Catholic Church, praying to the Virgin Mary is also a straw man too. That's about it. Makes as much sense as that.
Who said the Pope was Catholic? Have you got a citation for that?
Catholic means universal.
Look, nobody claims bears shit in the woods. Citation, please.
Yeah.
But, right. I understand what Kiwi is saying because I don't have any qualifications. I left school at 15. And since in the past 6 years, I've dealt with lots of these ballers with supposed great qualifications. And whatever qualifications they had didn't mean anything because they weren't able to figure out simple things. So a lot of people have qualifications and they stand behind them, but they have no brain to go with those qualifications. Or maybe some of them are just lawyers. But all I'm saying is that all I was saying about Wolfie as far as the pilot goes is that, to the best of my knowledge, he's a very adept pilot. Now, if you wanted to know about the shape of the Earth,
Hold on, just let him make his point, John.
My point is that I'm not trying to tell Wolfie how to fly a plane. Right? I would say he's a good pilot because, for as much as I know, he's a good pilot. So I would suggest anyone, you have him as a pilot. He'll get you from A to B successfully. But when it comes to the shape of the Earth and nature of the Earth, I wouldn't ask him any questions because he doesn't know what he's talking about.
Yeah.
Good. Well, the conversation I was keeping up with, but it just took a real dive in the last few sentences.
Well, let me ask you, what's qualifications? Because I know they have schools for plumbing and schools for air conditioning, even schools for flooring. And these got guys coming right out of the school, and you throw them in the work field, and they're lost. They have to ask people that never went to school but have experience of being on the job for 15 years, and we have to teach them.
I was about to give that example exactly correct, Neil. How many times has anybody watching or anybody on the panel started a new job, having just done the course, having got the qualification, you start and everyone around you laughs and says, yeah, you can forget all that. No, you need to go out and actually get the experience doing it to appreciate how it's done, not get the theory.
Yes, that's my point. And, even the ones that go to school for cooking, baking, they wind up in the kitchen lost.
Yeah, so to round out the whole point, it's like, what does your qualification mean? Well, it depends on how educated you are on the subject matter that you're discussing at the moment. And if that's directly related to your PhD and you've got a great PhD in that subject, then you'll probably win the argument because you've got an exemplary knowledge. However, if you're a pilot, this is Brian's point, it doesn't mean you know anything about the nature of the reality of the world we inhabit just because you fly a plane. It means you know how to fly a plane.
It means you should know better that the Earth's not a sphere and it's not spinning. So you know it unless you're a complete dumbass, which you are. So that I'm talking to you, Wolfie. Remember when I drug you around by your short hairs that many years ago? It'll happen again exponentially if you come on now, clown. I haven't listened to that idiot for years. I didn't even know he was still out here until Brian brought him up.
I didn't even know he's a pilot. The guy hardly ever mentions it.
Well, the reason I focused my past 3 videos on him is because he has been picking at flat earthers for 5 years now. And he has been attacking us and coming up with nonsense arguments. And like, anyone says nothing against him and they'll have an army of trolls in to defend him. Like, he even had the neck to say to me, like, he was trying to pull this angle with me on my comments on my second video from yesterday, was that he was saying that my first video had more views than any other video I had. It's like, it seems that I'm using his name. He didn't state I was using his name, but he says his name seems to be drawing attention. He was implicating that maybe I'm using his name to gain views, right? He knew he was trying that. He was trying that angle, right?
Sounds like delusions of grandeur.
Yeah. Like, I just ignored it, right? I just ignored it.
It's the same thing. It's the same thing back in the day. Evotards. They used to do the same stuff. They used to wait to get, if they wrote something, right? And if they got like more likes, then that all of a sudden meant that they were correct or something. It's the same. It springs out of the Evotard mindset, right? It's the same little second grade ploy. You friggin' numpty dipshits. Who cares? Come on out here.
It's an appeal to consensus fallacy.
Get me.
I was
We'll
going
have
to say that.
the show right now. Somebody go get his dumbass.
Yeah, but that's why I've focused these 3 videos on Wolfie. I was going to do it a while back before the ranty thing started, but that took it away.
Ranty.
But see, this is the thing. Wolfie's making a claim since 2016, and I have it on video. His exact claim, and I have a screenshot of a comment from this week of the exact same claim. Right, that's 5 years, same claim, no supporting evidence, and that's
But what's
that's
his
why-
answer for the black swan, Brian? Does he say anything about that?
Well, I never even got to have that conversation with him, Neil. The point I'm making is that he's attacking us for 5 years with armies of trolls and calling us, and he has a big channel, and he's attacking us publicly, not calling us names, but being condescending to us, and coming up with stupid arguments like EQ mounts and all this other nonsense. He has
Yeah.
a claim out there for 5 years, and he has no support for that claim, and that's my point.
Yeah, I want to thank him for bringing out that EQ mount to have your little trolls parrot that shit. It was like watermelon hanging side curveballs. It's just freaking jacking them yard. So thanks a lot, Wolfie. Clown. Keep going. Let him talk.
This clown we're talking about, he's never showed up here, right? I don't remember him ever showing up. Nah,
I don't recall Wolfie ever.
He
coming
doesn't
on,
show
no.
up anywhere.
I don't recall Wolfie ever being on this show. No.
Wolfie's not anywhere. He doesn't show up anywhere except on his show. I didn't even know he was still out there, like I said. It's like Red's Pretenderic. Where's that clown?
Yeah, well, it's kind of like that. Some of these people, they have big channels and a big voice, but they stick to particular places, safety places, kind of thing. That's why I asked everyone to share my second video, and I'd say it's the same for this one, the one I brought out this morning, even more so. Everyone mirror it as much as possible, because that claim, he needs to either concede that he doesn't have evidence or produce the evidence. That's what I'm looking for. Because 5 years, it's a long time to be making a claim and not supporting it, isn't it?
Which video specifically? Put a note, because I vaguely remember saying I would and I haven't. In either my personal messages or in what's it called, the war room, and just make it explicitly clear what you want done. Please mirror this video, arrow, link, and I'll do it.
Yeah, I will do. Yeah.
Yeah, no bother. Same goes for you, QE.
Okay.
But that's in advance because I already know what's coming out. It doesn't come out yet.
Yeah, all I want is my latest one, the one you watched this morning. Just mirror that and get as many people to mirror it as possible. That's the shortest video. It's the easiest one. If people look at my channel, they'll see the video before.
Yeah, I totally agree. I'll do the same as you have, Brian, and leech off the good name of Wolfie to get views.
Yeah.
Everyone running on empty because it's Friday?
No.
Over.
We just lack water.
I was going to say, though, can't they say the same about us, that we're in our little corner? Because we don't come out anywhere. I know you have.
I do. I'm all over the place out there.
Yeah, no, you do. But they're going to say the same thing for Nathan. Well, he stays here. But see, the difference is this is a debate show. They could come on here with their proofs and debate it, but they don't.
They're not as dumb as they look.
Some of them are dumber. That woman who came on the other day, wow, unbelievable. Is it an argument from incredulity to say that something doesn't exist because you've never heard of it?
Yes.
Unreal. Can't recall that ever happening before. Maybe there has been positionings of an argument from incredulity before through exasperation, but not like the formulation of a main base of an argument. I don't think I've experienced that before.
Woohoo! I made it back in time.
We
Yeah, I
discussed
was-
your nipples already.
No, I was going to say the problem with arguing with pilots is they're always looking down at you.
But they're not always looking down their nose at you, or certainly not looking down the nose of your plane.
Yeah, that's right.
Did any listen to Flatside and his thing with Randy?
Yes, I did.
Randy was pretty foul, wasn't he, in his behaviour? I mean, that's uncalled for. You know,
He's a dumbass. He's got dumbass written all over him. I only watched a few minutes of it. He wanted to know about Flatzoid subscribers. That's when you know you got Deuce 7 offsuit. You fucking clown, you.
Oh, he
You better
was
hope
there.
you never run into me out there, friend. I'm gonna hang you from a fucking yard arm.
He went to the subs. Ah, bro. Snatched your own wig off, huh, bro? That's a damn shame.
Well, remember, he
I
wrote
thought
the book
Wilson
on
was
flat
supposed to
earth
debate
optics.
him.
Oh, yeah, of course.
You're gonna rue the
My-
day, friend, I ever catch you out there. You'll rue it. Mark it. That
I
goes
ordered
for
that
any
book.
of you bald. That goes for any of you bald tart idiots. You want to take a shot at the title? You know where you can find me. Come on,
Somebody called me.
make my day.
No, Arwin. No.
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 Okay.
Nipples out.
You're getting criticised for having been, or I got criticised for having recommended you only for them to be exposed to your nipples, Arwin. So that's fell on me for shouting you out.
What? I'm sorry. Sorry, man.
Well, that makes it all okay. Hey, let's not make it too rude. With that, though, I'm going to say a huge, massive, enormous thank you to both Discord and G+ panels for making today's after show possible. Of course, a massive thank you to all of you in either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley premiering streams for hopefully smashing the super chat, liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing, and becoming a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member. Also, below this video, you can get £50 for swapping your UK electricity supplier to Octopus Energy. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.
What a day! What a lovely day!